There was lots of battles and fights happening. Representative McGovern here, Democrat, was speaking about why there's so many shaky knees and people that are afraid of seeing this go down.
I mean, do you support the Massey counter resolution, yes or no?
We're already doing it. And let me say, the discharge petition does not have the force of law. We've already subpoenaed.
You can be,
and look,
no, and I'll let you.
No, look, Mr. McGovern,
Yes,
it's very disappointing that you're trying to politicize this.
It's a yes or no question. It's not a trick question. I mean, do you think?
We've already done what the discharge petition's asking.
Do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law?
The bill has no force of law. It has no force of the law. You're just trying to do a political stunt.
But do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law, which would require the release of all the files?
It doesn't have the force of the law. It's just a political stunt.
You know, you could vote for it, and then if he decides to veto it, you could override the veto. You're telling us that you're going to release some of the files tonight. If I heard Mr. Garcia correctly, 97% of which is already out in public. So we get 3% that's new. I don't know what it's going to say. But I just don't understand what the big deal is. Why can't the administration just release the files? You could do the investigation, but just release all the files. You know, Trump and the people he put in charge of the FBI and the DOJ promised that they would. And it's just kind of strange that they haven't done so yet. I mean, don't you think? I mean, we just want to know, what are they trying to hide? Why is this such a difficult thing for them to do? Who was the President of the United States when Mr. Epstein died in custody?
I would assume it would have been Trump.
Yeah. I think what's going on here today is the Republicans are terrified. And I think we all know why. And that is because the president doesn't want to release all the files.
There's been enough pressure now. Enough people are talking about it now from both sides of the aisle, very forcefully, very directly, so where you really can't challenge why or what it is that they're saying and why that they're doing it. But you can see why folks are not about this, why they want to keep the status quo going in this. James Comer, if you guys remember, I did tons of videos on James Comer for the last year and a half of Joe Biden's administration, where he was investigating, he was looking for links and ties and international things and all these business dealings with Joe and his son Hunter and all of this. It was pretty constant. He doesn't have enough investigative skills or curiosity to want to go further than that. Just understand who the bad guys are, because they're telling you. I'm not telling you. They're showing who they are. Matter of fact, one of them is also Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett was one of the folks that came out of these and was saying these victims have to get some kind of accountability.
These ladies were mistreated, of course, by Epstein and Maxwell, but also mistreated by our government. We got to rethink the whole files thing. Apparently, there's some files that they don't want out. I think we're going to get to the right spot where we can release everything that needs to be released.
Manu Raja pointed out that now, as of Tuesday, Tim Burchett told him that it's a moot point now to move ahead with Massey and his plan compelling the release of these documents. He had been a supporter of it, but he's now Massey needs those last 5, which now as of today is down to last 2 that he needs. Man, I'm telling you, bro, Tim Burchett is one of those guys. Dadgummit and dadgum and dadgum. You notice he's been saying dadgummit a lot more lately because he's trying to have this hokey, like, personal hometown feel when nobody cares. In fact, it makes you look worse that now dadgummit is every other word that you say when you still keep flip-flopping on this one issue wherever you think it's going to be politically helpful to you. Thomas Massey also thanked some of the Republican women that signed on, as you guys may have seen, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. And so speaking of Nancy Mace, this was the scene before the oversight hearing was over with 6 of those victims. Nancy Mace walked out of the hearing early, red-faced and in tears, and I believe someone asked her a question and she continued walking out. I also saw Don Lemon post over on Threads that he had seen her just outside of the Capitol in the corner having a panic attack. And she asked him for privacy, so he said he gave her privacy, and then then went in front of a camera and told everybody what was happening.
So I just had a very weird, unusual experience. We were standing in front of the Longworth building, one of the House office buildings, and I noticed this woman in the corner was not doing okay, and someone walked by and said, "That's Nancy Mace. I think she's having a panic attack." And sure enough, I went and I kind of looked, and I had my camera up a little bit. I got out of the corner of the camera, and then she came out and she said, "Please, will you please just respect my privacy?" And guess what? I'm going to respect her privacy, but I will tell you that she was upset, she said, because of the Epstein victim. And so she just said, "Please respect my privacy, and who's going to fight for us?" And she wants the Epstein files released. And then she said, "Just please respect my privacy." And then she got in her car right here and drove away. So I'm going to respect her privacy. But yeah, Nancy Mace, I saw her right there in the corner having a panic attack.
Since that was all reported, she then posted herself about what is it she experienced. So she went on Twitter and said, "Since it's already been reported, yes, I left the oversight briefing with Epstein's victims early. As a recent survivor, not 2 years in, I had a very difficult time listening to their stories. Full-blown panic attacks, sweating, hyperventilating, shaking. I can't breathe." She says, "I feel the immense pain of how hard all victims are fighting for themselves because we know absolutely no one will fight for us." And she finished by saying, "God bless all survivors." So you could imagine some of the folks in response to that said, "You need to stop making this about yourself." And then others also pointed out that she's a full-throated supporter of Donald Trump. And after we've seen some of the things that he said, the victims of his own that came forward, the judgments and rulings that were adjudicated against him, they wondered why she's just now seeing it. I understand questioning the legitimacy or the credibility of Nancy Mace, considering she's been all over the place. She was a maverick at one point. She was against Donald Trump before she was then for him. She's been all about promoting herself for political purposes for a while now. So I totally get it. I'm gonna let her be a part of signing on to this. That we can still dislike Nancy Mace and her performative nature. I don't know if that was performative. It doesn't matter to me. She is a victim. She's talked about that for years. So, in being a part of supporting this, as long as she's supporting it, bro, that's the main purpose here, because there's tons of unknown, non-famous, unelected, quiet victims that feel like they're never going to get justice. Again, even beyond the Epstein story. Doesn't mean that she's not going to go back and grovel to Donald Trump the next day. Oh, I want to get this first. During that presser today, where 10 of the Epstein victims spoke there and were accompanied by Ro Khanna, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others, there was a couple of loud noises over the top. There was some flyovers. It was loud jets flying right over the Capitol where folks were speaking. And this was reported the day before. Those loud noises I was expecting for the entire time because of this tweet from Sunday Girl. She said, "Just received notice that there's going to be a military flyover of DC tomorrow at 11 a.m., just in time to distract from the 10:30 press announcement about the Epstein victims. Surely the timing is coincidental," is what she said. I wasn't going to point out her tweet until I actually saw it happen, and there was confirmation that what she posted was true. There was a military flyover.
When it had already happened, this woman abused children. I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years.
Yeah, I did say that. My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends.
It happened two or three times, to the point where the folks speaking had to stop and wait and then pause. But if that was the plan, if that was part of the Trump administration Epstein group strategic plan, that they've carried out now further with that stupid plan, how would that keep them from talking? They spoke for an hour and a half. So you fly over 2 or 3 times and take up what, a minute and a half of the time, maybe 2 minutes, and then they continue on. If nothing else, it allows people like this to point out what it is that they were planning as they saw it happen. And then we see that you're doing that, which feeds into more of people's need to wonder, why are you so hell-bent on not allowing folks to speak?
Today, they did a flyover of the Capitol. That flyover, I believe, was scheduled after this press conference was announced. And I think I don't know that they did that on purpose, but if they did, that would be highly disrespectful. There will be no limit to the weapons of mass distraction that the White House will apply to try to make this go away.